Let's jump into problem 22.9a, a big error analysis problem. The fundamental concept here is the error counterbalancing or non-counterbalancing? If it's counterbalancing, it will treat it slightly different than if it is not counterbalancing. Let's jump into the problem and see what we're up against. Remembering what counterbalancing errors are. They're errors that sort themselves out the next year. We make an error one year, and if we just leave it in the system, it fixes itself the next year. But because it was wrong this year, in fixing itself, it also caused our books to be wrong the other year. So we do have to do a journal entry fix. We can't say, oh, it sorted itself out. That's a different type of error than a non-counterbalancing error, which is one that's with us for years to come. Doesn't just work itself out of the system. Fernie Alpine Supplies retail ski and mountain equipment using a periodic inventory system. A new controller hired late in 2031 uncovered the following errors while preparing the December 31st, 2031 statements. The 2030 books are closed and the 2031 books remain open. No corrections have been recorded yet, and income taxes are to be ignored. So we got four errors, and for each we're going to do correcting entries, and we're also going to say, is it counterbalancing or not? Let's go look at the first one. Ending inventory was overstated by $42,000 at December 31st, 2030. Let's actually stop there. There's actually two errors here, and it was understated the next year. So these are two separate errors. Let's start with our first error, though. Ending inventory was overstated by $42,000 at December 31st, 2030. Is this a counterbalancing error? And the answer is yes. This is an error that will work its way through our system within a year. Inventory is a current asset, so when we sell through that miscounted inventory and we recount the next year and adjust to the new count level, that error will wipe itself out. It'll work itself out. So these are counterbalancing errors. I'll put a big C there. How do I deal with counterbalancing errors? This is something I do that not every text does, but I do recommend is I say optionally, and I do this optional step, I say, how should we have fixed this? And in brackets, if we found out in time. And okay, I'll explain what I mean by that. 2030 has come and gone. If I could get in a time machine and go back to December 31st, 2030, what journal entry would I do to fix this? That's a good thought exercise that will feed my required, which is how do I fix it now? And I'll say belatedly, right? We're a little late to the party. We're like a year late. It's a prior period error. That's what makes it a problem. If it's a current period error, I think they're easy to fix. Prior period errors are a pain to fix. So how would I fix this prior period error if I could go back in time to the prior period? Well, let's read it. Inventory was overstated by 42 grand. Okay, well, inventory is overstated. How do I fix that? I credit inventory. So credit inventory to make it go down 42K. And what would we generally adjust inventory through? And be right if you said cost of goods sold, right? If we counted lower inventory, we're using periodic inventory system. Our inventory count is actually lower than what we thought. Debit COGS for that amount. And that would have happened on December 31st, 2030. Sadly, the year has gone by and we didn't fix this. Let me change the color of ink here. I was planning to do this one in green. Let's make it green. There we go. So we can't go back in time and fix it. We just have to fix it this year. So how would I fix this on December 31st, 2031? Well, any income statement account that was debited or credited, just put it to retained earnings. So if it's in the fix, and this is an income statement account, in our current year fix, we got to say, okay, I wished we could have debited COGS last year. To fix it this year, you debit retained earnings, right? This is an error correction. It's retrospective. So we go, okay, if we had fixed it last year, it would be in retained earnings now. So debit retained earnings now, 42K. Now, this is where counterbalancing errors are weird because you might think, oh, debit retained earnings, credit inventory. No, no, no. We are going to credit COGS, cost of goods sold, 42K. Now, let's just mechanically, you're going to always do the same thing for a counterbalancing error. So you find the income statement account in the previous correction, the optional correction, you go debit retained earnings, and then credit that income statement account, or had it been a credit, vice versa. And we'll do that in future steps. So mechanically, you can get the hang of it. But why on earth are we crediting COGS now? And the answer is ending inventory was overstated. So we came in with our inventory balance too high to this year. Well, if our inventory balance entered too high, and now we write it down to what our inventory level is at the end of the year, we just count our inventory and put it to whatever it is, because we started with inventory balance too high. By the end of the year, it's our COGS that's too high because we write it down by using cost of goods sold. So our COGS is overstated this year. Our inventory was overstated last year. Our COGS is overstated this year. So how do I make COGS go down? I credit COGS. So that little theme you're going to see throughout in counterbalancing error correction. You sort of will be, what should have been, what should we have done to fix this? Debit COGS, credit inventory. Well, how do we fix it now? Debit retained earnings, credit COGS. You'll see that sort of theme throughout. Let's move on to the next one, or the next part of this one. It says, ending inventory is overstated by 42,000 at December 31st, 2030, and understated by 28,000 at December 31st, 2031. Okay, so inventory is understated this year. How should we have fixed it if we could go back in time? We don't need to go back in time. We can just fix it in the present because the books aren't closed. So there's no going back in time on this one. We just say to ourselves, okay, well, how do I fix this now? I understated my ending inventory by 28K. The answer is, well, if I understated inventory, debit inventory, 28K, and credit COGS, 28K. Now we could combine these into one, like have a big credit to COGS. I like them separated. I think that is plenty good. And there we've done it. We fixed last year's here, and we fixed this year's error here. We fixed it. So no need for the optional step in the second part because the books were still open. Let's continue on to number 2. Number 2 says, accrued utilities of $13,000 at December 31st, 2030 were not recorded. Okay, so we had a utilities expense we didn't record. The amount was paid and expensed in January of 2031. Okay, how would I have fixed it? If I could do it, if the books were still open on 2030, I would have gone, oh, I need to record a utilities expense. Debit util expense, credit AP, or credit, utilities payable or something like this, $13K. All right, well, the books are not still open, unfortunately. So how do I fix it now? December 31st, 2031, I put this debit to utilities expense to retained earnings because that's where it would flow through. So had I gone back in time and done that, my retained earnings would be debited by, when I close the books, and the credit, as with the last one, to utilities expense. And let's discuss why. 13K. So 13K here, 13K there. Why is this the case? The amount was paid and expensed in 2031. Well, we should not have recorded utilities expense in 2031. We did. We shouldn't have recorded it in 2031. So we got to credit it to say that didn't belong in 2031. We're fixing it now. Next, rent. Let's see what's going on with our rent. Rent of $36,000 covering January through June was paid in December 1st, 2030 and expensed in full at payment. This is prepaid rent. This shouldn't have been rent expense. No rent entries were made in 2031. Well, we do have rent expense in 2031 as we use up our prepaid rent. So a couple of errors, right? The error last year was we debited rent expense credited cash. We really should have debited prepaid rent credit cash. So what's the fix? We shouldn't have called it rent expense. So credit rent expense. 36K, and we should have classified that as prepaid rent instead, right? Debit prepaid rent, 36K, and that's December 31st, 2030. So that's what we should have done to fix it if we had thought of it in the moment. Well, what do we do now, December 31st, 2031? We say, okay, well, whatever we put to an income statement account, in this case, rent expense credit, we're going to credit retained earnings. for that amount to say, okay, let's pretend we had gone back and done that fix, credit retained earnings, 36 grand, and the debit is to rent expense. Why again am I debiting rent expense this year? And the answer is, well, because we were renting this place January through June 2031. This is a 2031 expense. Yeah, we paid the bill last year, but the expense doesn't get incurred until 2031. So it makes sense in terms of just mechanically, like, oh, okay, what should we have fixed entry? Whatever I do here, I just reverse it like in the next year, because it is counterbalancing. It reverses itself. We have to do that entry. So mechanically we can do it, but it also, the story it's telling makes sense, at least to me. I hope it makes sense to you. Last one, and this one is a non-counterbalancing. Spoiler alert. So let's read it and I'll discuss how I treat non-counterbalancing items. So these three had been counterbalancing. This fourth one is not. Delivery van purchased and placed in service on January 2nd, 2030 for $64,000 was incorrectly expensed to delivery expense in full at acquisition. So we bought a van. We should have gone debit van credit cash. We went debit delivery expense credit cash. Whoopsie. Fleet policy is straight line depreciation over 8 years. So we should be depreciating this over 8 years. No depreciation has ever been recorded because we didn't set up an asset, we set up an expense. Whoops. So here's how I deal with, maybe I'll do different color ink here. So these were all counterbalancing. I do it in those two steps. I say, what should we have done to fix this? What journal entry should we have done to fix it? And here's how we're going to fix it now. By the way, this is the answer to the required. When I have a non-counterbalancing error, I do what we did, what we should have done, and how do we fix it now? So that's how I lay it out, and I do it by journal entries. So what was the journal entry we did when we bought the van? We went debit, delivery expense, whoops, credit cash, 64K. What we should have done, we should have gone debit van or delivery van, 64K, credit cash, 64K. Now this has knock-on effects because we didn't do any depreciation, obviously, but we should have, right? We should have gone, so this was on, when did we buy it? January 2nd, 2030. Jan 2, 2030. Here's what we should have done on Jan 2, 2030. Then on December 31st, 2030, we should have gone debit depreciation expense, credit AD for 8K. And we, on December 31st, 2031, we should have gone debit depreciation expense, credit AD for another 8K. So pretty big difference, right? And it's just getting more and more different each period. And so it's an issue. So how would I fix this now? And the answer is I fix it in 2 steps. So now is December 31st, 2031. How would I fix it now? I fix everything before this year, and then I fix this year's error separately. I do it in 2 steps. So how would I fix everything up till now? Well, obviously I need a van on my books. Debit van 64K, right? I need a van to exist that isn't on my books. So let's put the van on the books. I need all the accumulated depreciation on the van to exist as well. So let's journalize the accumulated depreciation. Now the difference here, 64 minus 8 is 56K. The difference is going to go as a credit to retained earnings. Why credit retained earnings? Well, we debited delivery expense. That was wrong, right? I debited my expenses too much. So why am I not crediting retained earnings by 64K? Well, this depreciation expense is right. So it means our debit to expenses is off 64 minus 8. It's off by 56 grand. So we have to fix our retained earnings by 56 grand. This year, I screwed up my I screwed up by not having this journal entry for depreciation. Okay, let's do the journal entry for depreciation. Because my books are open, I just depreciate the asset. So debit depreciation expense, 8K, credit AD 8K. So that's the fix for this year's item. It's all in one entry. And there we have our part 4 in the bag. So big problem. There are, what are they called? Non-counterbalancing errors, this one, and there are many counterbalancing errors, and you just have to treat them differently and think through them differently. As always, if you make it to the end, I appreciate a thumb. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye for now. The next video in our series is right up here, and if you want a supercut of all of the videos in this series, that's the one down below.